Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care, Advanced Audiology, and Traditions Healthcare. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host
Dr. Gene Dorio.
On your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guest this morning is the one and only Dr. Thomas Polucki.
Thanks for having me
Welcome.
back.
Welcome, Thomas. Welcome back to our show.
Hi, Dr. Dorio. It's good to be here. Thanks.
Great. Well,
What
on
have we?
kind of a cold, blistery day.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Plenty of this is like British weather, isn't it?
Woohoo! Yes, it is.
If we had a little fog, I think you'd feel right at home.
Not just a little, a lot.
There you go.
So what's on the docket today, Dr. Polucki?
Pain relief. I want to promote my guide to lasting pain relief, and hopefully we can get to all of it today. It's a pretty big. We're going to see how far we get with this today, but there's a lot of amazing new technologies out there. There's some simple things that people can do just on a daily basis to minimize the amount of pain. And I'm speaking from experience myself. I spent the first 16 years of my life on 5 different prescriptions and with 3 surgeries, constantly going to doctors, and then I found the answer. And I'd like to share a little bit of how that has even developed and evolved over the past 35 years for me. And it's just amazing how much information is out there that very few people have access to. I'm constantly discovering things that I didn't even know. And this is my industry. This is my business. And to think that the average person even stands a chance when all they get is the commercials, the bombardment from the drug manufacturers. Uh, that's what I want to focus on today, trying to give them an alternative to that never-ending cycle of there's a pill for every problem.
Okay, what kind of pain did you have? What kind of surgeries?
Okay. Well, I had
So that we can define a little bit about
sure.
what you're talking about.
Sure. So I had what most people would consider joint and muscle pain for from the time I was born. It was difficult learning how to walk. My legs hurt so badly that I didn't want to walk. And one of my earliest childhood memories was my mother taking me around from pediatrician to pediatrician and them not being able to see what they needed to see as far as some kind of a disease process going on. So they thought that I was just faking it for attention. And my mom, who ran a medical intensive care unit, knew that that just wasn't the case. So I was already a little bit jaded by the callousness of even pediatricians who I hold in high esteem. But when the doctor says, "Oh, he's just faking it," and well, long story short, I wind up on one prescription after another to deal with all different aspects, not just the joint, not just the muscle pain, but the migraines, the blinding headaches that I would get, and then eventually, and I don't know if it was triggered by some of the medications or not, my immune system started to falter and my digestive system became problematic. So there's this vicious cycle of where the pain begins, how it's managed, and then all the different workarounds that you have to go through. And so I experienced that for the first 16 years of my life. So I know firsthand what my patients are talking about when they come in and they're frustrated because they feel like they've tried everything. I've tried everything. I've been to the specialists. I'm on these medications, and yet still I have all this problem, and I'm just getting so tired and so worn down by constant going from one specialist to another and just not getting the result that they need. So that's how this whole thing has evolved, and I have found some surprisingly simple answers for a lot of it. And then for the people that isn't enough, simple changes in their diet, simple changes in their sleep patterns, simple changes in their exercise routines is a lot. I mean, it goes a long way for a lot of problems out there. However, for the people that just isn't enough, because even with all these problems, I've been a competitive martial artist for most of my life, over 40 years, and I've torn up quite a bit of things in my body over the process of that, and had to learn some workarounds for some injuries.
Okay, when you were 16, what happened?
Okay, so when I was 16, I was testing for medical school. Johns Hopkins sent out I don't know exactly how it happened, but I had to take a special test from them. They arranged a special test in 10th grade, and they liked what they saw. So they started courting me. But around the same time, like I said, I was on 5 prescriptions. I already had 3 surgeries by that point, and I was still miserable most of the time. Sleeping through classes most of the time, but I still had like a 4.0 average because I just test really good. So the thing is, here I am taking 5 prescription medications, taking untold over the counters. And I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I was also doing street drugs and just to deal with it. And here's the most disturbing part. I felt like all of this was normal. All of this was okay. And that's the culture that we live in. It doesn't matter. None of it matters as long as you can function. Hey, if you're on the dean's list, you must be doing something right.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't matter. As long as you can function in this society, nobody really cares. Nobody really cares about how that happens. As long as I'm not in too much pain that I can't go to work, that I can't function, who cares? Who cares how you do it? But the toll is devastating, and we've seen it. We've seen it in the progression of these epidemics of barbiturates and painkillers and opioids and all of that, because it's so easy for a doctor to prescribe a medication, but when that runs out and the person is almost instantly hooked on the painkiller, because the strength of these things now, it's a lot cheaper to go out and find something like heroin these days than it is to refill a prescription. And that's what gets so many people in trouble.
So what did you start doing that has helped you up to this point?
So it's not one thing. That's just it. And
Okay.
that is the key to my guide to lasting pain relief. Everybody wants a magic pill. Everybody wants a definitive diagnosis for their problem so they can take the right medication, so they can get the right surgery, so they can see the right specialist. And I'm here to tell you, it just doesn't work like that, because I've experienced it firsthand and I've seen it in thousands of patients. I'm now medical director to over 300 medical practitioners in America, and I manage thousands of people that I never see. I have thousands of patients that I will never meet, and I hear the same story over and over and over again, that we are conditioned to believe that it's just a matter of seeing the right doctor to get the right prescription or the right therapy, and that takes care of the problem. And the reality is that isn't how it works. It's not one pill for your problem. It is a matter of restoring the way your body's supposed to work, because the pain is never the problem. The pain is the alarm. And that's the epiphany that people have to come to in order to get better. Because as long as they believe, as long as they're told, as long as they're sold that the pain is really the issue and to get rid of it at any cost is the answer, they're in for a really rough ride. And
there's no doubt in my mind, as a practitioner for decades, that you are absolutely correct. Our society counts so much on snap of our fingers, the writing of a prescription, and sending you out the door. And this happens day in and day out in every community in our country, maybe around the world, but for sure in our country. And then addiction takes place. And I think you're going to be alluding to many other modalities that play a bigger and a better role in maintaining and sustaining and changing how our pain is and how our quality of life can improve.
absolutely. So the the system is just not set up to help people with this. There are acceptable treatment protocols, and they usually hinge around some kind of pharmaceutical or surgical intervention, and everything else, no matter how much it's studied, no matter how much it's proven, no matter how many people get a positive result with little to no side effects, little to no death or disability or any kind of complication from it, it's still considered experimental. And that is purely political. That is purely financially driven by the people who don't want anything to improve or change. And yet, there are so many things out there, and so many things out there that are free, that are being suppressed right now. And I'm not just talking about the evil pharmaceutical industry. I'm talking about things like Facebook, things like Google, things like YouTube. The Facebook has changed its community standards to the point where you can't talk about anything health related unless it's the COVID epidemic and getting a vaccine, because Zuckerberg is invested in that. Now, I don't want to get into whether that is the right thing or the wrong thing. However, there is a major issue with freedom of speech in this country. To think that we are actually free to say what we think is an illusion at this point.
But staying with the subject of pain relief, because as you said, the body talks to us, and pain says something might be wrong, and persistent pain says something probably is wrong. And to getting to the right place, we need information, and we need true information. And when the options of not having that is we don't have that, then we end up suffering. So let's talk about, what are those options? You had mentioned diet. You had mentioned sleep. You had mentioned exercise. There's no doubt that we know all of those can be improved upon, as well as other modalities that are out there.
Absolutely. So the simplest answer is movement. That's free. That's free to everybody. You just have to learn what movements work best for you. And that's part of my guide. Let me just give myself a little plug here, and then we'll move forward. Anybody can get this guide for free. All they have to do is shoot an email to help@drpolucki.com. It's the word help and Dr. Polucki. I'll spell it out, DRPOLUCKI.com. Shoot me an email, and I'll send them the guide for free. Even though it cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 40 years to discover all these hidden secrets, I'm sharing it. Just like you said, Dr. Dorio, there is an overwhelm of information out there. However, the overwhelming majority of it is selling pharmaceuticals for the answer for every problem. And that has gotten us into a pretty dangerous situation here in this country.
Well, one of the things that I like to do is walk. I haven't been doing a lot of it lately because of the weather,
Sure.
but I've been getting on the bicycle
Mm-hmm.
and pedaling on the bicycle, which doesn't, I think it helps. It keeps me moving. It
Absolutely.
keeps my legs moving. But it's not like going outside and walking.
No, it's
There's
not.
nothing like that.
Absolutely.
It really isn't.
There are fitness exercises, certainly. You're not going to get a pump on from walking. However, walking, as far as I'm concerned, isn't a fitness exercise. It is absolute medicine. Walking is pure health care, almost as pure as it gets. We are designed to walk. We have one of the most efficient mechanisms of keeping ourselves healthy that's absolutely free to us, and there's very little excuses not to to participate in that.
I agree with you. I agree. I'd much rather go outside and walk.
Yep.
But, this weather. I walked outside this morning. I thought, ooh, I need to put a coat on.
Hey, you're British. You should like this.
No, but that's true. It really is. Walking is very good for you, and I think we
Yep,
need to
yep.
take a break, don't we? Yes, I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS.
Join us this fall for online fun with the Canyon Theater Guild online youth workshops. Super fun classes with acting, singing, dancing, audition tips, script writing, scene study, improv, and putting on real shows created for online performance. Get creative, meet new friends, and most of all, have a blast from the comfort of your own home. Call 661-799-2702 or ctgworkshops@gmail.com or canyontheater.org.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
And now a cooking tip from Keith Mowry from Bob's Country Meats. Everyone loves chicken. It's easy to cook in a variety of ways, especially on the barbecue.
Marinate it overnight in your favorite marinade. Brown it up nice on the barbecue. And then put it on the other side in direct heat. Close your lid. Take another 25-30 minutes. And they're good.
Chicken, tri-tip, pork chops, turkeys, steaks, even exotic game like buffalo and ostrich. For the tastiest chicken in town, visit Bob's Country Meats on Soledad in Canyon Country.
You just had an accident. Now what?
I'm Caesar from Body Shop 661. After you get into a car accident and call your insurance company, chances are they're going to send you to a cut-rate auto body just to save themselves some money.
So, what do I do?
Call me at Body Shop 661. Your car will get taken care of as if it were my own. No second-rate parts, and the job isn't finished until it's done right. Body Shop 661 handles all types of vehicles, foreign and domestic. Plus, I work with all insurance companies.
Locally owned and operated for over 20 years. On Ruther, just past Home Depot. Call Body Shop 661 at 251-2252.
Aloha, friends. Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
And now for your convenience, a second Honu location at 23502 Lyons Avenue between Peachland and Apple.
your hometown station.
Our news team at KHTS is constantly working to keep you informed. If you want the latest and greatest information on the Santa Clarita Valley, just sign up for the KHTS newsletter. SCV News delivered directly to your email inbox every weekday by 5 p.m. and a special weekend edition on Sundays. All it takes is an email address and you're set. Go to hometownstation.com to register.
98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Thomas Polucki, a local chiropractor, and we're talking about pain management.
Yeah, so I'm plugging my most current guide to lasting pain relief. Free, online. Just shoot me an email to help at drpolucki.com.
I got it here.
In the last segment, we gave a little bit of the background, but I want to focus on there are answers out there that don't require a prescription for medication. And I learned the hard way that pain is rarely the problem. It's the alarm. And we've been conditioned to believe that going around and turning off the alarms is the best strategy in healthcare. The problem is you're not addressing the fire. You're just taking the batteries out of the smoke detector, which has gotten us in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference in our guide is what can you do instead of doing a whole bunch of tests that rule out what it could be. Have a basic understanding of how the body needs to be functioning in order to be working properly and focus on where those issues are not working as good as they should and start feeding into, fueling the repair, fueling the normal function, fueling the detoxification, whether that be through better, more appropriate food choices and hydration, or whether you need to use a little bit of supplementation. And I'm not an advocate of taking tons of pills. In fact, the overwhelming majority of supplements out there are not really that good for you.
Well, what do you mean supplements? You mean like vitamins?
Vitamins,
potassium, vitamin C, vitamin D, all of those?
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
So there are not all vitamins, as you say, are created equal. In fact, a lot of them are barely recognizable by your body.
But your vitamin D is.
Yeah, well, D3.
I need to get more today when I see you.
Yeah, D3 is the kind that you produce in your skin when you're exposed to sunlight. So that's some people are familiar with the concept of bioidentical, which means it's the same molecule that your body makes or could make or can find in nature. So we call that bioidentical, which means it's basically the same exact chemical structure that your body totally recognizes, doesn't have to do any work in order to put it to immediate use in your body. And there are usually a couple of different, if not many different variations of every single vitamin out there. And usually only one of them, vitamins and minerals, that your body doesn't have to work in order to make it useful in your body. And those are the ones that I recommend highly, and you need a much lower dose of any of that in order to put to good use. I see so many people taking very high levels of vitamins that are not being utilized. And the proof is, if nothing else, in the follow-up blood work that they've been taking massive doses of these vitamins, and it's not showing up in their blood later.
That's interesting.
So if it's the right kind, it only takes a little bit. And that's the key. And that's really the key of all supplementation. You shouldn't have to be taking ridiculous amounts of supplements in order to improve your health. It should only take a few things that you really need in order to make it work for you. And yet I know, because I was there too until I got some advanced certifications in nutrition, because we don't learn anything in pre-med or medical school about this. That's a misconception of the public. The
That's very
total
interesting.
the total that you get on nutrition throughout entire pre-med med is 40 hours. And certifications are usually start at about 400 hours if you're doing any kind of a nutrition certification. So you have 10 times the amount that the typical doctor does when you get certified in any form of nutrition.
Well, it's
So
interesting.
if I can just add to the discussion with supplements, beyond that, though, goes back to the use of prescription medication that we have utilized for decades and centuries, and the side effects that come from those medications, from simple aspirin causing stomach problems and ulcers and bleeding ulcers, to treatment for instance, rheumatoid arthritis that could then cause cancer. So we're dealing
I know
with
that.
not only, yeah, and that's the perfect application to Barbara and what happened to her. So we look at diet, but then we look at the supplements, but then we look at the prescription medications that are being given. And, you would hope that the FDA and the DEA and all these people would know exactly what the side effects are. And guess what? They don't. So if you think that you can look up everything and know exactly what the medication is going to do, it doesn't work that way. So every day we're finding out new side effects. And, you could be having a pain that really is not coming from anything on the outside other than a drug. And that's, to me, very sad and exemplifies again exactly what Dr. Polucki is saying, that we're creating sometimes problems that, make an indelible change in the quality of life that we have. And especially for older adults that have polypharmacies, it's happening every day.
Well, the other thing too is your movements, how you move, when you move, and what you do when you move. Like, for instance, this morning, I was pushing 2 big easy chairs closer to my house that were underneath the patio in the back, because it was raining and the wind was blowing. And I pushed and I pushed, and I thought, oh, my neck did something, and I couldn't move my neck, my head. I couldn't move it. And I thought, oh, what did I do? But it was the movement, whatever I did, caused my neck to have a fit. And you're going to fix it when I see you later, Dr. Polucki. And it still hurts. Not as much as it did before when I tried to move those big chairs. I shouldn't have done it, but I did. And now I'm suffering for it. So movement has a lot to do with pain, whether you cause pain or not.
Sure.
You have to be very careful. And as
Sure.
you get older, I think to myself, I'm not an old lady. I can do anything, Well, it doesn't work that way. Your body gets a little bit weaker as you get older.
And that is a portion of the guide. It's not just moving, but it's moving the way that we're designed to move. Like when you said, you were pushing something. If I were able to see how you were pushing it, I could have probably prevented that injury. So instead of figuring out all the different things that could possibly go wrong, We give you the guidelines of how things need to go right, if that makes any sense
Yes, it does make
at
a
all.
lot of sense.
So I'm going to give you a little teaser here. In upper body movement, the most important thing to reduce strain and sprain of anything in the neck or shoulder area is keeping your elbows in tight to your body. The further your elbow gets away from your body, either out to the side or out in front of you, the more likely you are to injure something. And so that is a gem. That is a little gem that is in the guide as far as keeping things lined up and keeping things safe. Instead of trying to figure out what goes wrong after the fact, trying to rehab a sprain or a strain, I think it's a much better, more cost-effective, certainly more time-efficient strategy to know how to avoid that injury in the first place.
Well, I will find out, won't I?
And for the people who don't have that information yet, because most people aren't going to have that information until they get this guide. But for the people who don't have that information, you shouldn't have to be rehabilitating the same injury for months or years. I can't tell you how many people come to me say, oh, my chiropractor's out of town. Can you just, give me a crack today? And I'm like, well, we don't really do that, but, if you like, I'll evaluate you and find out, what we can do for you. And more often than not, I find problems that haven't been resolved for decades in these people, but they love their chiropractors anyway. And then I'm like, well, have they shown you any kind of homework? Oh, no, I just go in when I need it. And I'm like, okay, all right. So how's that working for you?
Obviously it isn't.
Yeah. And that's just it. So a little bit of homework, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of choosing your foods more appropriately, a little bit of taking care of yourself. When you get on that airplane and you have to sit through that safety briefing. It's been a long time since anybody's been on an airplane now.
That's true.
But that safety briefing, if the oxygen masks drop, you put yours on first. And so many of my super moms come in and say, yeah, I know I need to, I know I should, I know, but, but, and then everybody comes before me. And I'm like, wait a second. You cannot take care of all of these people if you're this messed up.
That's right.
And you need to be okay in order to be the super mom that you want to be. Sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they get mad at me for pointing that out. I do my best, but social skills are not my strongest point.
Okay, let's get to some of these problem solvers as far as nutrition and what you're talking about as far as alleviating pain.
Yeah, so there are a few things that you really want to pay attention to. As far as nutrition is concerned, you need to pay attention to how food is affecting you. And so many people just think, well, if I have indigestion, then I just need to take some Tums or some Pepto-Bismol or whatever. And I'm not saying anything bad about those companies. I'm just saying that's not the problem. The problem isn't that you're deficient in an antacid. You're not deficient in a bismuth, which is that pink stuff that is
Pepto-Bismol.
It's just insane to put in your body, but that's a whole nother point. It's not that you're deficient in those things. It's that you're trying to treat the pain instead of looking at why is the pain there. Maybe the food that you're so addicted to is actually you're addicted to it because it causes so much damage in your body that you get high from it. And even if you're not aware of that euphoric feeling, your brain becomes addicted to that injury opioid cycle. And all of a sudden, you're eating all the foods that are doing the most amount of damage to your body, and you think that's comfort food.
Well, what is a food that you need to avoid?
Well, it's different for everybody,
That's
but there
true.
are a few that you can say with pretty good assurance that most people are going to have some kind of an issue with. The big one, the most common one out there right now is gluten. And while gluten in its original form may be the foundation of civilization, because it's what shifted us from hunter gatherers to an agrarian society, actually growing our own food staples. I think a lot has changed, and not so distant past. I think a lot has changed recently in the wholesale industrialization of agriculture that has literally changed the way that we process gluten in our body, and it's causing even people who don't have full-on allergies or sensitivities to it. It is causing enough irritation that it's causing a problem for the overwhelming majority of people. And I see it time and time again when people come in and I say, because one of the things in our guide is a gluten-free protocol. I see it time and time again. The people who fight it the most have the most amount of damage from gluten. And when they do finally shift, if they work with me instead of blast me on Yelp, if they do work with me and don't criticize that I'm saying that, diet is going to be part of your pain relief, that the people who do work with me get the most amount of benefit just by eliminating gluten from their diet. And
Now,
it doesn't take years of doing this. Most people see a dramatic response in the first week.
so what is gluten? What do
Gluten
you find gluten in what foods?
gluten is the protein in all grains. So grains is even like, what's a grain? Well, there's anything that originally looked like a grass, but even that's kind of nebulous. So what is it? It is wheat, it is rye, it is barley, and now there's no gluten in oats. However, there is another thing in oats that could cause as much problem as gluten. It is corn. And even rice. They say there's no gluten in corn, but again, there are these irritants. Even when it's not gluten, there are other irritants. So any kind of a grain or thing that looks like a grain or even closely resembles a grain can cause a lot of irritation for a lot of people. And that's only one of the things that people need to be careful of. But I find that it's the easiest thing to make the biggest amount of change in people. And once they get the list of all the things they need to be careful with, as soon as they get them out, and we make it so simple, we give them an online program that gives you recipes every single day in order to make sure that that isn't in your food. Instead of having to learn all the stuff and take a college course on it, you just get a list of here's your breakfast, here's your lunch, here's your dinner, and they're delicious. And you buy the food, you make the food, and within a week you have a lot less pain, you have a lot less bloating, you have a lot less you have a lot more energy, you're sleeping better. So many things shift so dramatically when you take inflammation out of the digestive tract.
And when you say grains, you're talking about cereals.
Yeah, that's that.
Now, what about oatmeal? That's the one that has something else in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So some people can tolerate oats better than others, but if you're trying to get rid of inflammation in your body, even though oats do not have gluten, neither does corn, both of those things are still in an inflammatory category.
Okay. We need to take another break. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS.
Experience luxury senior living at Oakmont of Valencia, Oakmont's brand new community in Santa Clarita. At Oakmont of Valencia, residents will enjoy 5-star amenities, including state-of-the-art movie theaters, spacious custom-built apartment homes, and sweeping views of the valley, all in close proximity to shopping, restaurants, and medical centers. Enjoy resort-style living, professional concierge services, a luxurious salon and day spa, and world-class dining. At Oakmont of Valencia, you'll embrace retirement in style. Enjoy impeccable service and unending possibilities with Oakmont. For details, visit oakmontofvalencia.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. For a limited time, you can get a queen-size premium MyPillow for the lowest price ever. Regularly $69.98, now only $29.98. MyPillow is patented and adjusts to any sleep position. It's washable and dryable, comes with a 10-year warranty, and 100% made in the USA. I'm also giving you deep discounts on all my MyPillow products, including my bed sheets, mattress toppers, and bath towels. That's $29.98 for a queen-size premium MyPillow, and deep discounts on all my MyPillow products. Buy now, and I'll extend my 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021.
Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch, full menu, and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Jean Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, 1220 AM and 98.1 FM, KHTS. We're talking with Dr. Thomas Polucki, and pain management is in my purview, but pain relief is a whole different ballgame for many doctors who are prescribers of medication. And so we've been going over the different modalities that one can use, and I want to see if in this last part of the show, Dr. Polucki, if there's anything else you might want to add so our listeners can get an idea of what direction they should go should be they experience a lot of discomfort.
Absolutely. So I have a guide. It's free. Just shoot me an email at helpdrpolucki.com, drpolucki.com. The thing about pain management is, why would you want to manage pain? I want to get rid of it.
Get rid of it,
I don't want to manage it. I don't want to hang out with it. I don't want to, employ it. I don't want to make it a better part of my life. I want to get rid of it. And the key is, the pain isn't the problem. This is the epiphany that people need to get to. And when I say people, I'm not just talking about patients. I'm talking about doctors. I'm talking about everyone who currently makes their living on the back of suffering people. I am not that kind of doctor. I want to get rid of their pain, but by getting the people better instead of just covering up, taking the batteries out of the smoke detector because the noise bothers you. Now, there are great temporary pain relief strategies that move people in that direction. You've experienced it in our office, the low-level laser, the infrared lighting,
Yes.
the PEMF, the rebuilder technology that you have at home that turned around your neuropathy in a matter of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things are amazing technologies that help manage the pain, mitigate the pain, while they are actually improving the function, which is all I all I focus on with my patients, getting people better instead of just this temporary relief, because that's like a drug addiction, just getting a little bit better for a little while so that you can get through and then having to start all over again. So that, to me, I think that's bad medicine. I don't think that's what I became a doctor for. I want to actually get people better so that they can move on, so that they can enjoy the rest of their lives, so they can get out there and be the super mom that they want to be, and be the best whatever, the best real estate agent, the best dentist, the best medical doctor, whatever their calling is, that they are being held back by because they're having to manage their pain on an ongoing basis, because they're having to take more and more chemicals into their body just to be able to function. And as Dr. Dorio said earlier in the earlier segment, it's hard to track the effects of one chemical, on human physiology. When you start putting 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 chemicals into the equation, it's nearly impossible to predict what's going to happen. But I can guarantee your body is really challenged by that.
Yeah, and we definitely have been inculcated by the pharmaceutical companies and commercials to tell us how to handle our pain, when in reality there are many other options, like you have presented today, that we can exercise that we are not doing. Help at drpolucki.com can get you his guide to lasting pain relief. Dr. Thomas Polucki, thank you for, again, being on our show and helping to straighten out the minds of those in Santa Clarita that are wanting to have better quality of life. Thank you again. We appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
We are sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care, Santa Clarita Hearing Center, Traditions Home and Hospice Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.